Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to It's a State of Mind podcast, where we deep dive into the world of achieving unparalleled success without compromising what truly matters: your health, your connections, and your peace of mind. I'm James Borman. I'm going to be your guide on this journey, redefining success and mastering the art of living well. If you are listening to this podcast, please can you take the time to make sure that you subscribe, make sure you take the time to leave a review and let me know what you think of our thoughts and our processes that are helping professional men around the world reach their potential. Enjoy the podcast. The Rise to Thrive show, we're going to be talking about accountability this morning and the importance of accountability and how it separates us from going down a mediocre, average mentality and lifestyle to pushing and thriving with an elite mentality. Okay, and we're going to go through all of these aspects that allow us to understand the importance of the one thing that really separates the average mediocre lifestyle and the thriving, driven, purposeful elite mentality that gets us to where we want to be, right? So that's what we're going to focus on. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Borman, and if you are coming through, then please do let me know, either by just saying you're watching back, you're commenting, you're hitting the like, making sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get all of the notifications for when we go live, okay? And just for those that are watching, we do go live every Monday and Friday at 6 o'clock in the morning, okay? And I will be putting out links for you to be able to make sure that you get all of that, okay? So let's get into this. Let's understand firstly what accountability is. And I think that's one of the most important things that we've got to understand is like, what are we talking about when we talk about accountability? Okay, so I'm going to give you all of the benefits that accountability gives you, and we're going to expand on kind of what it is. So I want to give you a scenario first and foremost. Excuse me. If your kid come home, he walked through the door, let's say he's about, 12, and they walked through the door, and straight away, they just dropped their coat on the floor, and they left their shoes out in the hall, and then they dropped their bag on the stairs, and then they walked up the stairs, went to their room, and then started playing the PlayStation, okay? If there was no accountability for that kid, he would continue to play on that PlayStation, probably until he went to bed. He probably wouldn't worry about dinner. He'd probably leave everything in mess. He probably wouldn't do his homework. So this is where it part. So when you come in as a parent, you hold your kid accountable. So you turn around and say, son, I need you to go back downstairs and make sure you hang your coat up. I need you to put your shoes in a shoe rack. I need you to take your bag upstairs, okay? Before you play the PlayStation, I need you to make sure that you've done your homework straight away so that it's done, okay? And then I want you to go and make sure you've made your packed lunch for tomorrow. Then I want you to go and ask your mum if there's anything that you need to do around the house. Then you get your PlayStation time. So what we're doing there is we're holding our kid or that kid accountable for his actions. And those actions are far more beneficial for that kid than sitting and playing on the PlayStation all night. Does that make sense so far? If that makes sense, guys, and you're watching or you're watching back, then let me know that you understand that scenario, okay? And this is not about the kid. I'm not talking about parenting here. I'm talking about the importance of accountability, okay? So let's say that I work with one of my private mentor clients. So my top mentor program is called the Top 1% Club, and it's for business owners and business leaders to make sure that they are managing, controlling, and directing their time, energy, and focus in the right direction so that they can achieve everything they want in proportion without sacrificing time with their wives, their children, and their health. So let me give you an example on this front. If before those guys come and work with me, those guys would continuously probably just work, wake up, have no morning routine, go straight into the day without any structure or control about where the time or their energy or the focus is going, okay? They would then most likely go all the way through the day with no breaks, being unproductive, trying to achieve too many things, burning out through the day, becoming mentally and emotionally strained and stressed, get to the very end of the day, feel like they've not achieved anything, haven't worked out, haven't eaten enough, haven't drunk enough water, haven't got any plans for the next day, go into the house at the end of the day, probably a little bit snappy, probably late and missed putting the kids down or having family dinner, will probably crack a glass of wine or a bottle of beer, sit down, maybe probably be disconnected from their wife or long-term partner, because they're constantly thinking about what they didn't do or what needs to be done. So although they're in the room, they're there, but they're not present. Their mind is a million miles away. Does that make sense to everyone? Does everyone understand that scenario? So without accountability, that is probably what a day would look like. Maybe not every day, but certainly, like the kid, there would be the set format that those guys are going through. So then let's introduce accountability. So the accountability system that we have is that when they wake up, we wake up an hour earlier than we would normally wake up. And that hour is to make sure that they are focusing on controlling themselves, paying attention to themselves, spending time, energy, and focus, developing their mindset, getting their body ready, understanding where they're going with their time, their energy, and focus for the day. Okay, so we would do that in terms of having an accountability system in the morning, is that once they've done that morning routine, they would then put those valid points or key points down within a WhatsApp group. They say, right, these are the top 3 things that I'm going to achieve today. So that's accountability. So that's them saying, I've done my morning routine. I know where I'm going for the day. I know what I need to achieve. Boom, let's go off and achieve it. Then throughout that day, we would often then have a structure about how they would work in. So their time is then sectioned into different periods of the day where they're going to be focused on those top 3 things. So this might be work, this might be another part of work, then we stop him for breaks, then we'll stop him for lunches, and we can tell how we do all of this. And I'll tell you that bit in a second. And then at the very end of the day, once we finish, the guys would then put more accountability in the group and go, this is how I got on with achieving the top 3 things that I said I was going to achieve. Okay. And when I meet the guys every Wednesday, every week, or whether it's on a one-on-one basis as well, what we do is we talk about how those guys are performing during the day. How are you breaking down your time? How are you breaking down the sections of your time? When are you doing your workouts? When's the time to switch off? When is the time with your wife? So suddenly, what we've got from is a chaotic lifestyle that really where not much is being achieved, to suddenly then understanding and breaking down a system that allows them to be accountable in the morning, accountable in the evening, having those weekly regular check-ins from me, the guaranteed Wednesday check-in, the one-on-ones, and that talks about the structure and the system to help them unpack and make them start thinking about how they're living their life. So suddenly we go from a chaotic, busy professional who's running life at 100 miles an hour, to then suddenly being in more control of all of the elements of their life. And for me, there are 3 elements. There is the career, there is the success. There is the career, there is the health, and then there is those key relationships. Okay. And for me, managing all of them, okay, is the personal development side of that. Does that make sense to everybody? So we've seen 2 different examples about how accountability plays such a huge part in getting to your potential in life. So that kid will reach more of his potential, okay, by having the accountability from his dad or his mum instead of just playing PlayStation all night. The busy business owner or professional will get more done and be more productive, more fulfilled, okay, by having accountability in his life. Okay, does that make sense to everyone so far? So if you're listening and you're watching, then just let me know in the comments that you kind of get that and understand that, okay? So I'm going to go into, so why is accountability so important, okay? And this is really going to elevate key parts of the presentation that I've kind of made so far. So number 1, it forces you to stop being lazy, okay? Naturally, if you think about that young kid who is going off to play PlayStation, he just wants to be lazy. He's had a long day at school. I just want to be lazy. Like, we can tend to be lazy during the day, right? So when we decide that we don't want to do something, we become lazy. So accountability almost forces you to stop being lazy, because you have to stop and confront yourself in the mirror. And that, in theory, if you want to visualize what accountability is, it's confronting the man in the mirror every single day, not now and then, okay? The system that we use opens men's eyes to actually what is happening, rather than the kid not realizing, rather than the busy guy going through life completely consumed in a rat race. When you're in the fast lane on the M25, everything moves at 100 miles an hour. If we're not stopping to stop and go, oh my God, like, I need to open my eyes here. I'm not paying attention to my health. I'm becoming overweight. I'm mentally stressed out. I'm not connecting with my wife. I'm not seeing my kids enough because it's work, 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 work. If we don't have a system that's going to stop us and open our eyes to be able to unpack everything that is going on, then we're going to simply end up crumbling at some point. So we need something like accountability to open our eyes. Does that make sense? Okay. So it allows you to focus on what is required. So accountability allows you to focus on what is required doing. So like the dad telling the kid, I need you to put your shoes away, hang your coat up. I need you to make sure your packed lunch is done. I need you to help your mum with the chores. Then you can go and play PlayStation. So there's clear direction of like the things that need to be done. For the busy professional, it's kind of in the morning when they do that accountability system that we have running, they know the top 3 things that they need to achieve to move their life forwards, not only just in personal life, but career. And that's powerful, because too many busy guys running around like headless chickens are not clear on what to focus on that's going to move them forwards. So allowing you to focus on what's required, accountability does that. And that's what separates that average mediocre lifestyle to that elite mentality that drives you forward, okay? So number 4, you learn more about yourself. So going through the accountability, consistently reviewing yourself allows you to be able to do that. Excuse me. So in our whole coaching system, there are lots of different tiers of accountability. So the guys in Elite Brotherhood, they will do their morning accountability, their Wednesday check-in, and their weekly plans. In the Elite Squad, there's morning accountability, evening accountability, Wednesday check-ins, and then week planning for the week. And then in my top 1% club, it's very personalized. So it's full on. It's morning and night. It's every Wednesdays. It's weekly plans. It's one-on-ones. It's mid-quarter meetups. It's 3-day retreats. So it's much higher levels. But you learn so much about yourself as you go through an accountability system, rather than just fighting through life like a bulldog. Number 5, it builds consistency. Okay, it builds consistency. And that's what we're trying to do. If you look at your brain as a program, okay, and then you look at the accountability as the coding that implants in that program, the more you hold yourself accountable, the more that you start showing up, the more that you're going to get out of the accountability, because you are just simply going to understand yourself better. When you don't hold yourself accountable, you go to this default mode and you just survive life. That's what makes you average, okay? That's what gives you a mediocre lifestyle, because you're just going through the mill. You're just surviving. But when you're holding yourself accountable, man, you are learning more about yourself. You are building consistency, and that consistency leads to big outcomes. Do you know what I mean? And then the last one here is more control over your actions. So with the accountability, there are more actions. If you take about the 2 different examples with the boy and then with the busy professional, okay, they are more in control of their action when they're being held accountable, when they're holding themselves accountable. We know exactly what we need to achieve. So we're controlling the action rather than just cuffing the day and going through it, okay? So for me, there are 3 different types of accountability. So there's personal accountability, okay? So the personal accountability is one where you just hold yourself accountable. Now, if we're being honest, if I'm being honest, I would say that 80% of people, probably 90% of people fail at this, because it's too easy to give up. Okay, a lot of people say, I'm going to buddy up with my mate. It fades away. It really does fade away. If it's not your job to hold someone accountable, it's very difficult to do it for yourself. Okay, in terms of personal accountability, you won't do it. I've seen it millions of times. I've been doing this a long time. I've tried to hold myself personally accountable. It doesn't last. I need somebody coming in. That's why I'm here at this mastermind, because I've got a mentor that holds me accountable. Okay. Then you kind of look at it and go, right, there's community accountability. So that's when you're in a community and a community of people are building and developing, okay, their accountability together. So everyone's seeing what everybody else is doing. That can build inspiration, that can build drive, that can build a mindset together as a group to go, oh God, everyone's progressing, everyone's moving forwards, okay? And then there's high level accountability, which is something that we do probably in the elite squad and the top 1% club. These are my two higher programs where there's a little bit more emphasis and personal touch in terms of challenging more challenging. Why are you doing this? Why are you... Sorry, I think we lost connection there slightly. And I think that's what's really important. It's challenging. It's challenging the individual as to why they're not doing what they said they were going to do. It's challenging the individual to say, hey, you said you wanted to go down this elite path to be showing up as a higher level individual. Why aren't you doing the things that are required? Okay, why are you going down the mediocre and average mentality? And that's what we want more from in terms of the accountability system. And that's what's really important to understand. Okay, so I think we've nailed accountability and the importance of it in that respect. And if we look over it in the summary, we look at the examples always of the young son who just will either come in and throw his stuff on the floor versus dad coming in and giving him structure and strategies to make sure that he can earn his PlayStation time versus the guy who is going through life, just surviving, not looking after his health, not paying attention to time at home because he's so consumed in that career, that business owner mentality, that busy leading professional mentality, versus a structured individual that is still busy but is much more productive, has much more balance, and understands themselves so much more to be more consistent with their practices to reach the standards that they want. And we offer, and we're inviting guys to book a call with me so that I can help. If you're a busy professional or you're a business owner and you don't already work with me, we're offering that opportunity to be able to strategize how you can manage this better. Okay, so in theory, I can call you out a little bit. We can build a strategy and a plan, and you can go away and implement that plan. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can also put that in the comments as well, and we can arrange that. But that's it for now. And I hope you have a really great weekend. We're going to be back on Monday at 0600. Okay, I'm going to put some links up over social medias and in the group so that you can get notified. But I would always stay tuned. We're definitely going to be live 6 Friday morning. We'll catch you then. Have a good one. Oh, and before I go, just let me know what you thought of this topic individually. Is it something you're missing? Is it something you could do more of? And is it something that you think would change the way that you live your life? So any feedback would be